One reason the Marvel Cinematic Universe proved successful is the fact that, unlike many subsequent attempts at establishing a shared universe, the MCU took its time. During Phase 1, crossover elements were minimal, with the focus being on establishing individual characters. Marvel waited 4 years and 6 films to attempt their first major crossover in the Avengers. The films of Phase 2 featured more cameos and references. However, they remained mostly self-contained. Phase 3 would see a notable increase in the number of cameos and team-ups outside of designated Avengers films. Nowhere is that shift more apparent than Captain America: Civil War. The film serves as a very loose adaptation of the Marvel Comics event Civil War. Fans had been speculating about a film adaptation of this storyline ever since Earth's Mightiest Heroes first assembled on the big screen, though few expected it to take the form of Captain America's third solo film. The film is often referred to as Avengers 2.5. Funnily enough, Anthony Mackie once referred to Captain America: The Winter Soldier as Avengers 1.5. However, despite strong links to Avengers: Age of Ultron, Civil War is first and foremost a Captain America film. Before we continue, be warned this video will include spoilers. In Marvel Comics, the Civil War involved hundreds of characters. By comparison, the film has a much smaller roster.
We're seriously understaffed.
Oh yeah.
However, this actually works in its favour, as it allows the film to tell a more intimate and personal story. To be clear, this isn't exactly a small cast. In fact, Civil War features more characters than Age of Ultron. Despite this, none of them are overlooked. Obviously, certain characters receive greater focus than others, but each one is given a believable reason for choosing the side that they do. This is especially true for the leaders of each team, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark. Tony's willingness to accept external oversight is primarily motivated by guilt, while Steve is unable to surrender responsibility to another organisation.
This is the United Nations we're talking about. It's not the World Security Council, it's not S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not Hydra.
No, but it's run by people with agendas, and agendas change.
That's good. That's why I'm here. When I realized what my weapons were capable of in the wrong hands, I shut it down, stopped manufacturing.
Tony, you chose to do that. If we sign this, we surrender our right to choose.
Not only are these motives completely believable, they also demonstrate just how far both characters have come.
We have orders. We should follow them.
Following's not really my style.
Like its predecessor, Civil War focuses heavily on the relationship between Steve and Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. The film also pairs Bucky with Sam Wilson.
Can you move your seat up? No.
This pairing would later be further explored in the Disney Plus series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Civil War sees a romance begin to develop between Vision and Wanda Maximoff.
And what do you want?
For people to see you as I do.
A seed that had been subtly planted in Age of Ultron, which makes it all the more tragic when they find themselves on opposite sides. Scott Lang's inclusion is a definite highlight.
Look, I want to say, I know you know a lot of super people, so thanks for thanking of me.
Ant-Man provides some much-needed comic relief, channeling the lighter tone of his own solo film.
Cap, heads up! Throw it at this. Now! Oh, come on! Oh, man, I thought it was a water truck.
Unfortunately, the film doesn't really know what to do with Sharon Carter. The eulogy she gives at Peggy Carter's funeral, citing the words of her great aunt, is instrumental in cementing Steve's stance on the Sokovia Accords.
Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right, even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree, look them in the eye and say no. You move.
However, the kiss they share is awkwardly forced. Needless to say, this romantic subplot has never been mentioned since. Civil War also reintroduces Thaddeus Ross from The Incredible Hulk, now serving as the US Secretary of State. Despite a plethora of returning characters, Civil War also introduces some new major players to the MCU. The first being T'Challa, aka Black Panther, the Crown Prince of Wakanda, played by Chadwick Boseman. T'Challa was included as a neutral party to contrast Steve and Tony. His arc is surprisingly integral to the film.
Vengeance has consumed you. It's consuming them. I'm done letting it consume me.
Civil War also saw the highly anticipated MCU debut of Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland.
Hey, I'm Peter.
Of course, Holland wasn't the first actor to portray Spider-Man on the big screen. However, his performance shows a new side of the character, highlighting Peter's youth and inexperience.
Those wings carbon fiber?
Is this stuff coming out of you?
That would explain the rigidity-flexibility ratio, which, gotta say, that's awesome.
I don't know if you've been in a fight before, but there's usually not this much talking.
All right, sorry, my bad.
Unlike most MCU villains, Zemo, played by Daniel Bruhl, isn't a physical threat to the Avengers. Instead, his plan is to turn them against one another.
An empire toppled by its enemies can rise again. But one which crumbles from within, that's dead. Forever.
The simplicity of this objective makes it all the more effective.
So how does it feel? Spend all that time, all that effort, and to see it fail so spectacularly.
Did it?
Anthony and Joe Russo returned to direct Civil War. As they had done with The Winter Soldier, the Russo brothers tell an emotionally grounded story that also delivers blockbuster spectacle. A surprising amount of the film is dedicated to characters discussing and debating the Sokovia Accords.
The Sokovia Accords, approved by 117 countries, it states that the Avengers shall no longer be a private organization. Instead, they'll operate under the supervision of a United Nations panel only when and if that panel deems it necessary.
The film takes the time to explore each character's thoughts and feelings. What makes the central conflict so compelling is the fact that you understand both sides. The action sequences are phenomenal, even surpassing those from The Winter Soldier. The airport battle is one of the most spectacular scenes in the entire MCU. Throughout the fight, each character is given an opportunity to shine. Though smaller in scale, the climactic fight between Steve, Bucky, and Tony is far more emotionally charged. The film's visual effects are also highly impressive. A lot of the airport battle was created digitally, but the blend is fairly seamless. Civil War also features another example of highly convincing de-aging, made even more impressive by showing Robert Downey Jr. alongside his younger self. Composer Henry Jackman also returned. With so many characters at play, he didn't want the score to favour one side or the other. Jackman did retain a couple of character themes from The Winter Soldier. However, he also wrote a new theme to represent the Civil War itself. Civil War, perhaps more than any other previous MCU film, truly benefits from being part of a shared universe. The events of this film hold far more weight because they are built on the foundation of everything that had come before. Viewers have spent multiple films getting to know these characters, which only makes the rift between them all the more tragic.
Did you know? I didn't know it was him.
Shouldn't. I just did you know. Yes.
Unlike most Versus films, Civil War doesn't resolve its conflict by having both sides come together to fight a bigger threat, though it does initially seem like things are going that way. By the end of the film, real damage has been done, and there are lasting consequences. The Avengers have fractured, and friendships have been broken. Marvel chose the perfect time to tell this story. The events of this film would have a significant impact on the future of the MCU, as Phase 3 built towards the culmination of the Infinity Saga. Civil War addresses the ending of Iron Man 3 in relation to the wider MCU.
A few years ago, I almost lost her, so I trashed all my suits. Then we had to mop up Hydra, and then Ultron. My fault. And then, I never stopped. Because the truth is, I don't want to stop.
Unsurprisingly, the film includes a number of direct references to the comics. Despite the significance of the Sokovia Accords, they are rarely brought up after this film. Of course, they did receive a mention on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
The last thing we need right now is the government hamstringing us with the Accords. We need to stop Hive by any means necessary.
I'll deal with the government. You do whatever it takes to end this.
Both the mid and post-credits scenes tease upcoming solo films for Black Panther and Spider-Man. Captain America: Civil War is an impressive achievement. If Age of Ultron felt like the end of an era, Civil War feels like the start of something new. Marvel's next release would introduce viewers to a character who had first been mentioned in the previous Captain America film, Doctor Strange. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any future reviews. In the meantime, as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, why not give it a like? Maybe share it with a friend. Or an enemy. Either way, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to see more content here on Channel 73.